You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you. Doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because she wanted her daughter to marry Bob, and you weren't Bob. And Bob went on to that illustrious career where he became, ultra rich. And she's like, well, you should have married Bob, eh? But get your stepmom on your side, or whatever it is. Go to Goodreads. Tell your family and friends to go to Goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one on the TikTok, and Chris Voss Facebook. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may buy advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book success. Today, we have an amazing lady on the show with us. Heather Millard joins us on the show. Her book is for children that came out January 4th, 2022, called Moonlight Monsters. We're going to get into some of the projects and other things that she's working on top of finding out how she writes books and who she writes for and kind of her journey as an author as well. So we're going to get into it with her and her experience and her background. Welcome to the show, Heather. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Give us your .com. Well, is there any place in the social media or any place you want people to look you up and find out more about you?
Well, if they buy the book on Amazon, at the very back is a whole story about me, because I'm 97 and I was 12 when World War II broke out.
Oh, wow.
And I went to Australia, and the ship that I was going to go on was torpedoed. And I was lucky because I was in a different ship at the last minute. Also, going to San Francisco Harbor from after Pearl Harbor had happened, I left Sydney with my mother, and we went on a ship with gunners on the top deck. And then when we got to San Francisco Harbor, a plane swooped down and the ship swerved because apparently San Francisco Harbor was mined, and we were heading on the HMS, well, not HMS, the President Coolidge ship, straight for a mine in San Francisco Harbor.
Wow.
And so then we got on a troop ship to get back to England. And all of this is in the back of Moonlight Monsters. I think there's as much biography as there is story.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you might have a whole nother book there if you're biography.
I have.
That's quite harrowing. I mean,
No, not. I was just blessed.
Yeah. And you just barely missed the ship that was torpedoed. That's wild.
Yes, well, we got to Liverpool. I was born in England, and my father's family came from Australia. And that happened because in World War I, Australian soldiers came to England, and my grandmother invited them to her home. And they fell in love with my dad's two sisters. And the whole family moved to Australia. So when World War II happened, they said I should be sent out to Australia. So we got on this train in an air raid and got to Liverpool and got on the ship called the Arandora Star. And about an hour or two later, we were told we were going to be taken off that ship and put on a ship called Samaria. And so halfway across the Atlantic, the captain of the ship told us the Arandora star had been sunk and there were 11 survivors. And an extraordinary thing happened because years and years later, as an adult and living in America, in Miami, I was meeting a friend and she said to me, when you go to England, would you get in touch with a friend of mine? And I said, of course. So when I got there, I called up the friend and we had lunch and she said, what happened to you during the war, World War II? And I told her, she said, my father was one of the 11 survivors who was pushed off by a British officer, pushed off into the Atlantic and survived.
Wow.
I know.
What a small world, huh?
What a small world. Exactly.
Yeah, this is a book I think you need to
Oh, no,
put out
it's
on its own, a standalone. I'm serious.
a memoir, perhaps. Anyway.
But I mean, there's like people that were supposed to be in the building on 9/11 or on the planes. I think
Yes.
the famous Hollywood guys he writes all those animated funny shows. He was supposed to be on one of the planes and he missed his flight. There's all sorts of instances like that. But what an interesting twist in terms of fate.
Yes. Do you believe in fate?
I don't. I don't. I'm an atheist, so I believe that it's just luck. It's sometimes you do need luck in this life, but everyone can believe what they want to believe. Let's get into your book, Moonlight Monsters. Who's this targeted to? What age group?
Okay.
And give us an overview. What's inside?
All right, I will. It's directed perhaps to 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds who are scared to go to bed. So what happens is there are 4 shadows sent from the Office of Shadows whose aim is to help children find out how brave they can be. So the names of the shadows are Jangles, who's wearing a uniform and lots of medals, and he walks up and down with the medals jangling. And then there's Mozzarella, who's wearing a yellow striped tartan suit, and he I'll tell you later. And then there's Daisy, who's got a feather in her hat, which tickles Mozzarella's nose. And then there's Ritzy, who needs the job desperately and is late because she can't find her left shoe. So all these shadows are told they're going to have to fly up to Alexander's room. And Ritzy said, when I got this job, they never told me there was going to be a necessity for me to fly up to his room. Jangles said when he ignores what she says, he says, when I count to 7, you'll all start flying. So he counts to 7, they all fly up, and where do they land? On Alexander, this little boy in bed who's scared, so scared to go to bed at night because he sees monsters. They all 4 land on his wall. And Ritzy sees Alexander humped under the bed, trying to get to the end of the bed, and she's very, very upset. So she says to him, Alexander, think of something funny or something happy, like the monkeys at the zoo. And he's amazed that he hears her talking to him. And Jangles said, rule number 1 is we only come in the moonlight, and rule number 2 is we never, 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 never talk to the children. So she's broken rule number 2.
Uh-oh.
And then, because she does it, Mozzarella decides to tell Alexander that he frightened George Washington when he was a boy. And look what happened to him. He grew up very brave. And Alexander has a painting on his wall of George Washington crossing the Delaware.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, the wind, there's a big tree outside Alexander's window, and the wind blows the tree branches so that the shadows, which he thinks of as monsters, they bang against the window, and he thinks he's going to be smothered. So he rushes downstairs, and his mother has just taken out some chocolate chip cookies from the oven. So he says, "Can I have one?" And then he blurts out, "4. I need 4 of these cookies." So then he wants to, she says he can only have one and to brush his teeth afterwards. And then he goes up the stairs and he wants so much to bite into this cookie, but he says to himself, "I mustn't." And he went into the room. He knew that the shadows, which he believes are monsters, would be waiting for him. And they are indeed sitting there on the wall. And he says, "Here is a chocolate chip cookie, and you 4 will have to share it." And he can't believe that he's been able to do that. And, oh dear. And Jangles says to him, "Well, brave boys shouldn't have to share their cookies." So he hugs that thought to himself, and he gets into bed and he goes to sleep. And the next morning, what's waiting for him on the bookcase but the chocolate chip cookie? And then on the path below, Jangles says to Ritzy, "You know, you were not meant to talk to him." And she says, "Well, you told him he was a brave boy." And he said, "Yes." And he said, "You know, his voice is softening from this grumbling voice at her." And she says to him, "I don't think I want this job. I don't want to be in a job where I'm scaring these children." And he says, "You're just what we need. We just need you. Look how you have helped him." And they all agree that maybe Alexander will never be scared to go to bed again. So that's the story. And it's really that you can be scared, but somehow you can find a way, either by changing your thoughts to something happy or thinking, "Well, I still must be brave, even though I'm scared, and I can do it somehow."
What a great message for kids, because sometimes they get overwhelmed by the world. They're not really prepared to take on some of the things that the world throws at them. It's a bit much coming at them. You're just kind of like, "Whoa, hey, I'm just a kid, man. Hang on." And I remember being afraid of the monsters under the bed. That was my thing as a kid.
Yes, under the bed. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. I always was afraid, as soon as you put your feet down, they grab you. So you stay in the bed.
Oh, you poor thing. Oh, you poor thing.
That was my thing as a kid.
How
I
old
still think there's monsters on the bed, but it's just my divorce attorneys. No, I'm just kidding. It's a marriage show. I'm not married. But now I have guns, so there's that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I keep a machete by the bed and
no, you don't. Do you?
A bandsaw just in case. Well, you gotta if you kill the monster, if by chance you win the battle of the monster under the bed, then you gotta cut him up, because otherwise his friends will find him, and then the monster in the bed mob comes for you. The monster of the bed cartel. See, we got a whole nother book you can write right here just off this plot line. It's made up. So, well, you're 97 now?
I am going to be.
So you wrote this book when you're 95-ish?
No, I have written about 10 children's stories, actually. One about a dragon that doesn't know that he's got fire.
It's one way to find out what kind of fire you got.
Oh, he's got to be made angry, and nothing that the people in the forest can do to make him angry. He's just a happy-go-lucky dragon. And so that's one story. Then there's a story about a fairy who was unable to answer a question in fairyland, and so she's ousted. And and a little girl helps her. Then there's one about a hedgehog, a porcupine in America. I'm going to try and make one book with all of these children's stories that I've written through the years.
Yeah.
I got one, the happiness jacket, where you put on the jacket and you're happy. One about the time shop, where you can go and buy time, which we all need to do. One about a blob, some creature that everybody's scared of and they don't understand, and they won't say good morning to him. And he manages to save a child. So after that, everybody says good morning to him. There's another one about, let me see, what else?
Now, are these on Amazon? Because I'm searching.
No, because I haven't published them.
Oh.
You know, I've only published this one book, Moonlight Monsters, and I've got to gather these other stories together and put them in one book. You know, when you were growing up, you read perhaps many stories in one book, right?
Yeah.
Children's stories. Or you were read to. Were you read to when you were a child?
Yep. My mom would read to us in the womb. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
My mom would read to us in the womb.
Oh, that in the womb?
Yeah, she would read to us in the womb. She would write to us. She wrote journals. At least to me, I was the most important one because I was the first child. After that, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't care what she did because it wasn't me.
I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful, Chris. Did she play music to you as well?
Yeah, she did. She played music and stuff. She kind of believed that I could hear and experience all this thing, and I believe you can. I believe also you can experience the calmness of the mother and stuff, or the anxiety of the mother. So, yeah. So, this is your first book you published, and
Yes.
If my math is right, in 2022, you would have been 94 or 95. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So, folks, here's the message. It's never too late to write your first book. See, we're inspiring authors now. You know, if people are like, a lot of people are like, I'm too old to write a book. I should have written a book of yours. Yeah, there's always still time. There's still time
even for love in your life. My husband died 15 years ago.
How'd you kill him? No, I'm just kidding. Was it arsenic and lace, or what was it?
It's not over till it's over.
That's true. That's what my divorce attorneys under the bed say.
It's an opportunity to be positive and look forward to something that you can do that you would enjoy doing.
Would you say that's one of the key things in your life that's giving you longevity, or was it drinking and hard drugs?
No, I used to smoke cigarettes, and I had to try 3 times to give them up. And so I was always scared to ever try anything else other than what I had given up. So I'm going to die without ever having tried marijuana or anything like that. And my husband was a pathologist. He showed me lungs that were black.
Ooh.
From smoking cigarettes. So anyway, no, my reason, I think, for long life is, I think, one, that I have been blessed. I also think it's love. I think I've been lucky to have love. And also I'm happy inside. And I think I'm grateful for everything. And I think the universe is so remarkable. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, it is a remarkable. It can be. I mean, it could be an ugly thing, but the wonderful thing about human beings is our ability to find hope. And I think you find some of that sometimes in gratitude, like you mentioned, right?
Absolutely.
Being grateful and humble.
It's what we have that we have to appreciate. Not even think about what we don't have.
Yeah.
As my friend's wife said, if I had everything, where would I put it?
I love that because I hear so many young people today saying, my mom said I can have everything. I don't need to settle. And you're like, yeah, well, no one can really have everything. And the fact that you would even accept that as a conclusion is completely delusional. But some people love delusional and lying to themselves. But yeah, if I had everything, where would I put it? That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
It's being grateful. I have a gratefulness day every Sunday. I celebrate gratefulness day, and I kind of spend the day kind of working on my stuff, but also kind of being aware of, how good I have it, how well I have it. Do I have it perfect? No, but you know what? I got some really cool things. I got some people who love me. I got a dog who loves me, and there's a lot of people my age that their health is breaking down and they're not doing as well, maybe. So I don't have any room to complain. I remember I complained once at when I hit 50 on Facebook, and I was kind of doing a little entertainment rap where I was boo-hooing and, just for entertainment purposes. And I was like, oh God, I'm 50. And someone wrote me and they said, maybe you should just calm down a little bit with complaining about being 50. There's a lot of people who aren't here that would love to have hit 50. And, maybe you should just back it off there, buddy. And he was right. I was like, yeah, you got a point there. I probably should appreciate.
So life just began for you when you were 50, right?
Yeah, there was a lot that opened up, it seems. I think when people turn 50, they kind of start hitting some new awakenings, maybe. Is that true?
I think that with drugs that are helping people combat illnesses and things, that people are going to live much longer.
Yeah.
And they'll probably even come out with a pill that makes you younger.
I would like a pill that makes me younger. I think that's called Viagra, isn't it? No, I'm just kidding.
I guess.
So what's your future plans that you're working on? I think we talked in the pre-show about you've got some books you're working on. I still think you need to do a biography. You got some amazing stories there in your life.
Thank you. Well, maybe I'll do something, a memoir or something. But no, 2026 is a very important year for America. Yeah. And after the Declaration of Independence in 1776.
You were there, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
It took 7 years, Chris, before America was accepted as a sovereign country. I mean, the king had to have an enabling act in Parliament to agree that his subjects would no longer be his subjects.
Yeah.
And France and Spain, well, Spain had to accept America. They all knew that America was going to be a great country. And I think, they wondered about that. And so there were a lot of difficulties with boundaries, the navigation of the Mississippi River, and the Loyalists. Benjamin Franklin was very upset with the Loyalists and said, they'd been burning towns, they'd been spies, they'd been helping the British. And then somebody came along and said, but there were some Loyalists who didn't do any of those bad things. So they were able then to resolve that and have in the peace treaty that the states would each be able to help for a year to any reparations or anything to the Loyalists. But that it's been a fascinating journey for me, this research, and being an American citizen and having given up my British citizenship, independence is very close to my heart.
Yeah. Now, were you during World War? Let's see. I think I got lost in the timeline. During World War II, you were in America, or were you in Britain?
I was also in America because when we came back, my mother and I, to America from Australia, when Pearl Harbor had happened, and the airplane that we were meant to fly back to England on, they told us that because we weren't important and they needed the seats for generals, and obviously they did, we would have to wait for a ship. So I went to school in New York, to a school called Julia Richmond High School, for about a year and a half until they told us that there was a ship that would take 12 civilians, and it was a troop ship. And I remember the soldiers on the ship at night singing, and they would sit on the deck and they would sing.
Wow.
And yes, and
I mean, this is a story. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of even smaller stories about that journey and some of the things. And then it was probably high risk because the Germans had, subs running around everywhere,
they
right?
sure did. That's why I'm amazed I'm 97.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good, and then all the drinking, partying, and drugs too. You did so there.
None of that. And also, a
I'm just-
wonderful thing happened to my husband and I. When we came to Miami in Florida, I was selling from door to door, and my husband had to take his exams again. And so we knew nobody really except the people in the hospital. And well, it's an amazing thing that the friends that we made, we went back to England after 20 years. Those friends sent us airplane tickets, and they said, we're giving you a car and we're giving you an apartment. For 3 weeks, we want you to come and have a holiday back here.
Oh.
And then they even offered my husband a job. And then we came back to America for another 30 years.
Geez,
So
my friends suck.
So, I mean, I don't think in any other country such a wonderful thing would happen to people, that they would so generously do all that for friends, really.
That is true. That is a wonderful country. My grandfather came here from Germany in the 1800s, and before the Troubles, Germany. And he stepped off the train at the Union Pacific Depot in Salt Lake City, Utah. He spoke nothing but German, knew nothing but a lick of English. The Mormon missionaries had conned him into coming to Utah, and they took him in. And they helped him, and they found some other Germans. I suppose they could talk to him, but they took him in. He stepped off the train, just standing there at the train station, and I was there visiting, having dinner. They now turned the train station into they have some great bars and dining restaurants over there. And so I went over there and checked out how beautiful it was. And my grandfather worked there all his life, so it's kind of special. But yeah, the fact that people just take people in and feed them and give them a job and get them working and stuff. What a beautiful thing this country used to be.
Right. And look at the Marshall Plan, where America rebuilt and helped. I mean, America, there's nowhere in the world like America.
There used to be. Yeah. So as we go out, give people your final thoughts. Tell them where to pick up the book and where to go get all the fun things, and to watch out for more coming from you.
Well, I hope that if you have children, or even if you're an adult, the fact that we can change our thoughts. When we're miserable, we can think of something good. Or if we're not feeling brave, we can somehow manage to act brave. That life is wonderful, and it's a gift to be alive, and it's a miracle to be in this universe. That's what I want to say.
And what an inspiring message and uplifting message for children too, because like I said, I was the guy afraid of the monsters under the bed and all that jazz. So in fact, you'll make me sleep better now at night when I order the book. Heather, I'm still trying to get over it. I still have monsters in the bed, but they're called like death taxes and what's the other part? I don't know. Paperwork. I don't know.
Oh, you're wonderful. Have a great day.
And thank you for coming. And I'm looking. You got cut off by the intro. We were talking pre-show. 4,000 books, I think you said, behind you there in the video.
Yes.
I love people that collect books. I think books.
Do you have a collection?
I used to, and then I moved a lot of it to digital, and I regret it. I really miss. There's something of beauty about the tactileness of a book and reading it.
Does your dog sit on your lap?
She's a Siberian Husky, so she's not a lap dog. They're a little too big for that.
Oh,
But they'll usually sit with me, and I'll read something of Stoicism and stuff like that. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and we'll look forward to having you for the next book.
And I wish you all you wish yourself, Chris.
Thank you very much, and you too. Thanks to Heather for coming on the show. Thanks for audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Order up her book wherever fine books are sold. It's called Moonlight Monsters, out June 4th, 2022 by Heather. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, facebook.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTokity. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.